Hello people, how are we doing? Just thought I'd drop on, do a video. One that I wasn't kind of subject I've been trying to stay away from my channel because it is quite controversial, can be misinterpreted, and people have confirmational bias. They see what they look for things that confirm what they already think and then use that. But before I get into that, I'm feeling a bit burst. I've been overeating, uh, having a few beers at night because of this good weather, and I just feel sluggish as fuck. Goes with the territory, but at the end of the day, live life and live life to the max. And as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're taking care of your responsibilities, who gives a shit, you know? But Ashley's Ashley's been phoning me. I'm going to go and visit her. She's quite in high spirits. She called me yesterday and today, and I'm really, really proud of her. I'm really happy for her. But let me make this clear. This isn't a rehab. This is a hospital where she goes for like 4 weeks to dry everything out of her system, like the alcohol and the drugs, and then rehab after that. But she hasn't been offered a place at rehab yet. So I'm hoping that by the time her time's up at this hospital that she's got a place at rehab, so fingers crossed. But anyway, this is going to be a spaghetti junction story, and what I mean by that is it's like kind of three stories woven into one, but it encapsulates the subject of racism and Islam and Islamophobia and all this stuff. Now, I'll give you an example. Christopher came home last week with homework, right? Now, the homework was about Islam, learning about Islam, right? Now, I asked Christopher, what class did you get this? Religious education? Or something like that. And I says, do you learn about Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism, Judaism, whatever? He's like, no. And I was like, how's that? So when I looked at the homework, it was just the basics, right? Like, when was Islam? When did Islam like basically come about and all this kind of stuff, right? So I said to Christopher, you go back and tell that teacher, my dad says I've not to do this work. Now, when Christopher went back and said that to the teacher, she said, well, this will have to be reported to the police. And that pissed me off, right? So Christopher said, why is it a police matter? And she says, because this is Islamophobia. Now, what really pisses me off about that word is phobia is derived from the Greek word phobos, which is the Greek word for fear, an irrational fear. I don't have an irrational fear of a religion. I have irrational fears, but that's not one of them. I have concerns about it. And the reason that I have concerns about it is because for somebody who would be termed a Ned, an ex-offender, whatever, I know more than me. I don't know any of my peer group that know anything about this, right? That doesn't make me better than them. That doesn't make me smarter than them. It just means I've always liked reading about obscure topics since the age and since day dots, since I learned to read, like, I don't just have books in my, like, I didn't, a couple of people say to me, did you start reading in the jail? No, mate. Way before that, I remember the first library book I ever got out. In fact, I bought a copy of it when I got out of prison for Christopher. Funny Bones, might remember it. And Little Dracula's Christmas. Bought a copy of that as well. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that this homework, in conjunction with other things that are happening, not just in the UK but across Western countries, is there are people who are against our way of life. They hate everything we stand for. So the people who are directing them abroad in countries like Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Iran, whatever, these countries know they will never beat us militarily. So what do you do when you can't beat somebody in a fight? You need to change tactics. And one of the things they're using now is something called lawfare. So instead of warfare, lawfare. So what they're doing is, a lot of them is coming here, becoming students and studying human rights laws, whatever, finding loopholes and just using that against us, right? Racism laws. Like a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, whatever it was, there was a protest in George Square in Glasgow by a group of Muslims who were saying they're going to bring about a law where it's against the law to criticise Islam, right? Now think about that. It'll be against the law to even criticise Islam, right? Very dangerous ground if that ever happens. Very. And to me, that would be the first step towards Sharia law. Now, I'm not saying Sharia law is going to come into effect in Britain. And to be deadly serious with you, if it came to that, I'm getting my throat cut. I'm no converting. I'm fighting you to the death, bro. That's just the way it is, mate. And you might be sitting there thinking, this guy's half his nut. What's this guy talking about? I'm not getting this shit from the news, from BBC, Al Jazeera, Russia Today, fucking ITN, ITV, STV, whatever the fuck, Fox News. I don't get my info for these outlets, right? This was an interest that evolved through a childhood fascination with foreign countries, flags, maps and languages. And then it evolved into, like, how do these cultures live? Not even just Middle East. In fact, when I was a kid, the Middle East, I didn't want to know anything about it, because every time I saw it on the telly, there was bombs going off, there was people shot, there was guys chanting, screaming in the fuck. I'm like, they're all mental, right? I was into Japan, China, Italy, Brazil, Canada, America, Colombia, Argentina, all these countries. I wanted to know what it was like staying there, all this kind of stuff, right? But now then it evolved into the Middle East, because in order to be able to dialogue on a topic, you need to at least go and read up about that. And I'm not talking about read the Daily Record, the Telegraph, fucking the Sun newspaper, right? Read I don't want to say academic, right? Because it just, read stuff that's referenced so that you can go and read these references at the back, right? You can go and see where they got that information from, and you can see it for yourself. You don't need to take that author's word for it, right? Now, remember what I said about criticising Islam, right? But the school phoned me because I phoned up and says, tell that teacher I want to speak to her. Because what I was going to do was find out how much she knows about Islam, how much she knows about the Middle East, how much she knows about all these wars going on, and see if she didn't know what she was talking about. She was going to get embarrassed on the phone, right? So, called up, left a message, but it was Christopher's guidance teacher called me back, and she was totally, she's got a degree in, she wrote a thesis in Islamophobia, so knows what she's talking about. And she said to me, you're perfectly within your right to withdraw your son for that module. But what I also will say was, the woman did tell me they do learn about other religions, but it's just not to like fourth year where they need to choose it. But with the Islam one, it's being, no, you're not choosing it, we're getting it, right? So, second year of high school, it's like, you have to do this work. It's not a choice. But by the time you get to fourth, fifth year, you can choose to learn about Judaism, you can choose to learn about Christianity. It's a choice to go and do that class. So, they do teach other religions, but it's just whether you want to learn about it or no. But with the Islam one, it's like, no, you're doing it, but my son's not doing it. Anyway, she did explain to me that we had a long talk about a lot of stuff to do with Islam, Taqiyya, Sharia law, Middle East, whatever, right? And because when you look at a lot of stuff that's been going on today, like the new way, like there was a school in England that banned Easter, the celebration of Easter, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? In a Christian country. Whether you go to church or no, we're a Christian nation, mate, right? So, they banned Easter in order to be more inclusive of other religions. How the fuck's banning your own country's religion being inclusive? See where I'm going with this? It's like, what'd you call that? It's just a total fucking oxymoron. It's but these are all the things that have been kind of ripping my knitting, as my pal likes to say. But and listen, plenty of pals that are Muslim. Well, don't have a lot of them. I've met a lot of Muslims. Just the ones that I've met have probably, they've all been born here, so they're British born, Pakistan, British born, whatever. But I don't sit in prison, sit in my home and watch fucking BBC News all day. BBC says this and that, so I fucking, but like, sorry for that interruption there. Christopher just came back from school and came to the door, so I had to pause it and go and let him in. I can't be bothered starting again. So where was I? Right. So there is a lot of hardliners in every religion, right? But the thing is, there's only one religion that wants to establish a khilafah, a global caliphate, which in other words means they want to take over every country and either force the citizens of that country to convert to Islam, or they cut your throat, right? They behead you. Now, if or when that happens, what are you going to do about it? Might not happen in my lifetime, right? But it's still a possibility, and anybody who refuses to believe that, to me, is grossly misinformed or grossly ignorant. And the main reason I came on to do this video today was I went to, so as I've explained to some people, I have an aunt who lives across the road. She's got a lot of health issues, right? So I do her shopping and her errands, all this stuff, right? And I went to the local Asian store, which is pretty big, right? And don't get me wrong, I've always had a good rapport with them and all this, you know, good laugh, whatever. But things have started taking a little bit of a turn. When I walked in the shop today, right, we were bantering, and I said, Donald Trump Zindabad, which in Urdu means long live Donald Trump. It's just a joke, right? And I didn't know Donald Trump had just went to Saudi Arabia to fucking broker a peace deal between Israel and the Saudis, and this fucking new arsehole for Syria's there, who's a fucking complete nut job. He's like ISIS, he's like just as bad as ISIS. Is it Jolani? Can't mind his name anyway, but it doesn't matter. Hizbut al-Tahrir al-Sham, right? It's basically like ISIS in Syria, Al-Qaeda in Syria. Now this is a new guy that's took off Assad and massacring Alawites and Druzes and fucking Christians, beheading them on all that for no converting, right? And when I said Donald Trump's Zindabad, there was this black lady from Nigeria walking past, and this boy done that to her. He's from Pakistan, right? He's no fair here, and he's like, do you like Donald Trump? Clearly thinking she was going to say no. She's like that. Yeah. Spike, fuck's sake, what are you doing? Just laid Hunter's eggs yesterday and she's still scratching, man. So we got into this debate about Israel, Donald Trump, fucking all this shit, right? And no, I had seen that he was in Saudi, but I thought it was just like, alright, how you doing, sort of thing. And he's like, why is Donald Trump in Saudi Arabia? I was like, probably diplomacy or something, I don't know. And he's like, he's making peace with Israel. We hate Israel. It's like, what do you mean we hate Israel? He's like that. In my country, we do not accept Yahud, Jews. We hate Jews. And right away, mate, I'm like, you hate Jews? I says, answer me one fucking question. Say I say, here, I can't mind his name, right? Say it's fucking Omar or whatever. I go, here, say I hate Muslims. What would happen to me? I'd be arrested for a hate crime. How come I guarantee you, if a cop heard him saying that, he would not be arrested. Why is that? What if he said, I hate white people? That's not racist, according to everybody apart from us. It's like, you can't be racist towards white people. How can you know? We're a race. Caucasian. You get what I'm talking about? So we get into this kind of heated debate about all that Middle East stuff, right? History and all that. And I wish I had it on tape, on video, man. He got schooled, mate, right? Which I was totally surprised, because I expected him to at least know what he was talking about. So I say to him, this is what he's saying. I know he's going, my country's better and this and that. And I says, if your country's better, why are you in this one? He says, oh, don't worry, I'm going back. And I says, I know, because you're out here as a student, you're making money because, say £100 is like, if you go to Pakistan with like £100 and convert it, you've got like fucking £600, like £1,000 or something, the rupee. And the pound, I don't know the rate, but it's, right, trust me, man, you live like a fucking sultan, man. And he's like, yeah, aye. And I say, so if it's that shite, why you're here doing this? And we were just going back and forth. And he made a comment that pissed me off. He says, look at your youth. look at your kids. Didn't mean my kids specifically, he meant, you know, like that generation. He says, look at them, you think they could run this country, look at them. And I leaned forward and done that. Just got to tell you right away what I says, let me tell you something right now. See, if it comes to a war, who do you think's going to win, mate? And he done that. Yous. I thought, well, what are you shouting about? And he's going on, aye, but we hate Israel, we hate Jews, not. And I says, well, listen, who created Palestine? He says, I don't know. I says, Britain did. I says, before anybody wants to go into it, right? See, before I read up on this, I was for Palestine. I didn't even know anything about it. I was just like, that shite what's happening over there and all that. But any innocent life, any loss of innocent life is shit. It's a tragedy, fucking horrendous. But see, everybody shout to me, but for what I can see, shouting pro-Palestinian stuff and all that, it's selective outrage. See, on October 7th, when Hamas basically stormed Israel on 3 fronts, murdered wee fucking babies on kibbutz and all that, how was there no shock, outrage then? If yous are all so fucking anti-violence. Because it's just pure selective outrage to me, mate. It's biased. I don't care if you're Israeli, Palestinian, Saudi, Scottish. If you kill an innocent person, you're evil. Don't give a fuck what walk of life you're in, mate. If you just kill an innocent person for whatever reason, yeah. Look at George Bush when he invaded Iraq. Look at the destruction that caused. It's all forgot about now, but innit? Tony Blair, I know. All forgot about now, innit? Know what I mean? The rules are for everybody, all are for nobody. If everybody's guilty, nobody's guilty, do you get what I'm talking about? This is what really bugs me about all this. But the clincher was when he was saying, do you think your youth, he was saying like your youth in this country, not these terms were really, really annoying me, right? And I was just like, I wish I had this on video because it would be getting posted, right? But you think about something before I want to read something, right? To the people that were, or anybody including him, right? Because obviously I'm not going to sit and pull out every fucking Middle East book and fucking, mate, just not going to do it, but I want to give you a snippet, right? Because what people call Palestine, well, Gaza, is run by Hamas, right? Imagine ISIS became the government, Al-Qaeda became the government. They're an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Whose goal is basically to cause the Islamification of the Western world, right? They seem to be getting pretty good at it now, right? So listen to this, right? This is, what is this called, this document? Hold on. It is called fucking Hamas, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow by Dr. Harold Brackman, right? So it's an academic paper. I don't know, it was written, like I read it in prison, right? So it's like all highlighted and shit, but the reason that I'm saying that is this was probably, like, this was before the recent round of war, right? Now listen, this is their own charter, no, their battle cries, right? This is what they say, right? Truly the destruction of the state of Israel is a Quranic inevitability. Hamas, Jews to the gas. Now, I want to come back to that. So here's another one. Jews are brothers of the apes, assassins of the prophets, bloodsuckers and warmongers. Only Islam can break the Jews and destroy their dream. You, America, will face the mirror of your history for a long time to come. With the 9/11 attacks, Allah has answered our prayers. And that's who you're sticking up for. But back to Hamas, Jews to the gas. A lot of people want to go on about trauma these days. Trauma informed, right? What kind of collective trauma do you think the Holocaust left on Jews and Israelis? Their very existence is under threat. So if I was a Jew, I'd be shitting my pants every time I left the house. I'd be armed 24/7, mate. But the point is, it seems to be accepted to fucking run Jews into the ground and run white people into the ground. Like, I seen something the other day and it was like somebody waving a Union Jack and somebody says that's far right, and I was like, oh my god, man, far right to wave your own country's flag. The irony, the absolute irony of people carrying Palestine flags, which was a British mandate. Palestine was a British mandate. But then protesting against the same thing in Ireland. Mental, mate. But back to this nutter, what I'm trying to say is, he did apologise to me and all that, but my point is, it's no Islamophobic to question stuff. Using certain words, the N-word, right? Aye, you're gonna get punched in the mouth. It's a fucking given. But to critically question something, look at these universities they know. See, before I got out of jail, I was obsessed with going to university. I was going to be this academic and professors up visiting me and pick me up for the jail and all this shit. And see now, you fucking kidding me? This is where a lot of this shit's stemming from. These unis are meant to be the pillars of fucking critical thinking and dialogue. But all they seem to be doing is protesting a lot of shit they know fuck all about. Faint at the sight of blood. They make me sick. They make me physically sick. But you know what really pissed me off about this argument with this guy today? Wasn't it what he said about Jews? Wasn't it about this? Wasn't it about that? No, what he says? My English isn't that very good, so I can't explain what I mean. I says, your English is brilliant, mate, so don't give me your fucking pish. I says, you can't explain your point because you don't know what you're talking about. I says, see all these things you're telling me now, where are you getting this? He's like, I don't know, I just watch the news and then talk about it. That's your fucking problem, mate. You're watching the news and then regurgitating a lot